Hi there, welcome to today's video where I'm going to be showing you how I made little Pinhead here from Hellraiser, obviously, and I think you can just about see him there. So yeah, if you've been following my work for any length of time, you'll know that I have a passion project where I make horror movie posters with polymer clay and a bit of mixed media, and I just really enjoy adding another to the collection whenever I've got a bit of spare time. And if you haven't seen them, I'll show you a few now. So yeah, I just really enjoy making horror movie characters, really. I've made Pinhead a few times now, but yeah, pretty happy with this one. So let's get started and I'll show you how I made him. So for any model making projects, I'll generally start off with the head and working in grayscale here, obviously for Pinhead. It's really nice to be getting back into model making. I've not really done a whole lot of it recently. I'm hoping to get started over the next few weeks on a few projects. So yeah, stay tuned for more. So this particular model is quite a difficult one to work with. Because of the lines all over his face, it's really important to try and keep them as neat as possible, but also symmetrical, so it kind of takes a lot of effort to get it looking in any way neat, really. Combined with the fact that it's also in my hands all of the time, so I need to be careful with fingerprints, etc. But it's a good project for needlework though. This is actually quite a daunting process because I know that if I make a mistake, I'll need to basically start from scratch again. So far, so good. And I'm just going over some old lines here to ensure that there's enough definition in them. And thankfully he's all done with no major disaster. And here's the nails. So on each corner I'm adding in a nail. And these nails are quite odd actually. Some of them are really thick and some are thin, so I'm just really trying to sift through and just stick with the thin ones. Well, they're pins actually, but you know what I mean. Gosh, this one looks quite painful. It's kind of therapeutic process almost, placing these in his head. So it's starting to look a lot more like Pinhead now. I really enjoy working on horror projects. I think because I probably saw my first horror film when I was about 7, maybe. It was Salem's Lot, so it's not technically a film, it's a mini-series, but I remember seeing the vampire on there, Kurt Barlow, and being equally scared and intrigued, I think. And I think I remember a series called V as well that was on at a similar time, but my brothers are much older than me, so I used to kind of sneak downstairs when I shouldn't have and see the odd horror movie. So I've developed a bit of a taste over the years, I think. I saw Hellraiser originally a few years after it came out in the 80s, but I saw it again a few years ago and it's quite interesting, and it's aged terribly. It's got that horrible 80s kind of soft focus thing going on, which is a real shame that it's a victim of its own time, really, because, you know, looking at films from the 70s like The Exorcist, it's really aged well, it still looks amazing, it's utterly creepy, and it's a shame with Hellraiser because if it wasn't for the soft focus, I think it would be far more watchable. But you know, it has to be said, Pinhead's still an iconic horror character. This bit is so therapeutic because I'm just shaving off some excess clay here with my blade cutting tool, and it's creating some really interesting patterns underneath with the old clay that I've mixed up. If you're new to my channel, I'm Lizzie and I'm a polymer clay artist and illustrator based here in the UK. And I've recently begun to start paying a lot more attention to my YouTube channel. I did start it a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and I kind of gave up very soon afterwards, around about the time that seemingly everybody else did due to the apocalypse. Because it was really hard to stay motivated when everybody was so sort of down on YouTube. But you know, I've decided to give it another go. So I've been uploading videos since the beginning of the year. I've tried to upload almost weekly, but I've had a lot of stuff going on this year, but I'm on a roll at the moment. I've managed to upload a couple of videos a week for the last few weeks, but generally speaking it'll just be the one video, and 2 wherever I can. But if you like my content, by all means subscribe, as it would be great to have you on board. And now it's time for the detailed work to begin, which is probably my favourite part of this particular model. It does require a lot of patience though. It's quite hard to get things symmetrical, which kind of is quite important to this model. And just adding some stretch detail to his skin. It's not a sentence you say every day, is it? It's quite a weird costume. I think my favourite Hellraiser fact is that a lot of the voices are dubbed because they were originally English accents and they decided in post-production that they wanted American accents. So it's really interesting what goes on in post-production, isn't it? I'd be really interested to hear your favourite horror movie. I'm always looking for inspiration for new characters and new movie posters, so by all means leave them down in the comment section and I might just make that character. And moving on to some bronze clay for the puzzle box. Although there's a lot of detail on this model, it's quite a handy one to make because if you do make any errors you can just add on bits of clay over the top, just make it into a detail really. So yeah, although it's time consuming, it's quite a nifty little project really. And I'm just adding in my own bits of design here and there. As I work with coloured polymer clay, it's not always possible to do a direct representation of an outfit because it does have its limitations, because my priority is always trying to make the piece look neat and with no cross-contamination of colours as well, so it can be quite tricky. But I quite like these design elements I've added on. So although you'll see this model come together in little under 10 minutes, in reality this piece would take maybe a day and a half to make. Probably a day and a half actually, because of the detail on his head as well. So it can be quite deceptive really. So here he is, Pinhead's all done and he's ready to bake. And of course it felt appropriate to make a poster. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.